The stinky history of deodorant. You won't smell this coming. Imagine walking into a party in 1880 and instantly passing out. Not from the drinks, but from the armpits. Because back then, no one used deodorant. And worse, they didn't think they needed to. The BO era. Body odor was just life. People bathed maybe once a week and sweat. That was natural. Embrace the musk. Covering it up was even seen as suspicious. Like, what are you hiding under all that lavender? Then, in 1888, a product called Mum dropped. It was basically deodorant in a cream jar. Imagine smearing mayonnaise under your armpits. Yeah. That's how it started. Fast forward to 1903, and along comes Everdry, the first antiperspirant. It worked by blocking out your sweat glands. Only problem, it burned. Like, I made a mistake burned. But hey, no sweat, right? Then, in 1910, a woman named Edna Murphy tried marketing her dad's antiperspirant to women. At first, no one bought it. Then, she ran ads that basically said, if you smell bad, you'll die alone. And sales exploded. That's right. The original deodorant marketing strategy was emotional damage. The modern day era. Now we've got sprays, sticks, crystals, clinical strength, aluminum free, even made by monks in Himalayas. You name it, someone will rub it into their pits. So yeah, deodorant didn't just freshen up our armpits. It launched an industry built on fear, shame, and a deep desire not to smell like a 19th century bus stop. Like, subscribe, and stay dry out there. It literally tells you, do not use the popcorn button. The popcorn button is a lie. Alright, let's talk about the most untrustworthy button in your kitchen. No, not the one that says defrost. I'm talking about the popcorn button. You know it, you've pressed it, you've watched your snacks turn from movie night magic into flaming bags of sadness. But here's the thing. The popcorn button was never designed to work properly. Let's rewind. Microwave ovens first hit the kitchens in the late 1960s. Popcorn companies jumped on board by selling special microwave popcorn, and soon microwaves were being sold with dedicated popcorn buttons. It seemed genius. One press, boom, perfect popcorn. Except it wasn't. Different brands, different bag sizes, different microwave wattages. It's like trying to cook spaghetti using instructions written in Morse code. And here's the kicker. Even popcorn companies tell you not to use the button. Read the bag. It literally tells you, do not use the popcorn button. Even the FDA got involved in studies about how often it burns popcorn. That's right, it's so bad at its job, it's practically committing snack-related crimes. So why is it still there? Because the trap, a convenient-looking, delicious-smelling trap. It's like an emotional support button for your microwave. It doesn't help, but it feels nice to press. Some microwaves have smart sensors now to help pop based on steam levels, but guess what? It's still not foolproof. So next time you make popcorn, remember the golden rule. Listen for the pops, not the button. Because the popcorn button, it's a liar. And your nose knows it. Your nose knows it. Your nose knows it. What if I told you sunglasses weren't originally about fashion, or even the sun? Nope. The first sunglasses were made to hide people's emotions, and later to survive snow blinding from the Arctic sun. You know sunglasses as the ultimate cool person accessory, whether you're dodging paparazzi, faking confidence, or just hiding a brutal hangover. Let's set the scene. China, 12th century. There's no UV protection, no Oakleys, but judges are out here rocking dark, smoky quartz lenses. Why? To hide their facial expression in court while questioning witnesses. The court system was different then, and this practice is no longer a part of the modern judicial culture. In fact, it is rare to see anyone wearing sunglasses in most of the Asian countries, even in the summer. This is partly because dark eye colors are common among Asian people, which provide natural sun protection. Additionally, there's a cultural emphasis on eye contact and reading facial expressions, making sunglasses less favored in communication. Yep, sunglasses started as an ancient poker face helper. But wait, even earlier than that, the Inuit people were making their own anti-sun gear thousands of years ago. Imagine, you're in the Arctic, sun's bouncing off the snow like a disco ball straight into your eyeballs. Instant snow blindness. Solution? Thin strips of carved walrus ivory with narrow slits like early ski goggles. No lenses, no tint, but super effective. Plus, low-key looked like X-Men cosplay. Fast forward to the 1700s. Some clever scientists figure out that tinted glass can actually reduce glare. Then along come James Aisco, London optician, who says, hey, tinted lenses could help with vision problems, but UV protection, still not the point. These are more like stylish prescription windows than beachwear. Cut to 1920s, Hollywood. Actors are getting blasted by intense studio lights, so they start wearing dark sunglasses between takes. Suddenly, sunglasses go from practical eye thing to a full-blown fashion statement. By the 1930s, companies like Foster Grant start selling shades to the public. Tagline, basically, look like a movie star, even if you're just avoiding eye contact. Now, here comes the military. The US Army needs something to protect pilots' eyes at high altitudes. Enter Ray-Ban Aviators. Cool name, cooler look. Way cooler than snow goggles made of ivory. Pilots wore them, then soldiers wore them, then everyone wore them. Instant cool, instant classic, and still hot 80 years later. Today, sunglasses are everywhere. Designer brands like Gucci, Prada, $5 gas station specials, techie ones built in with cameras and Bluetooth, even filter sunglasses for dogs. Seriously. From emotion blocking judges to polar bear fighting hunters to Top Gun pilots, we've come a long way. So next time you throw on a pair of sunnies to block out the sun, look cool, or pretend you're not crying in public, just remember, you're part of a global 2,000-year-long tradition of people not wanting to show their eyes. Like and subscribe for more eye-opening stories. That useless oven drawer. You're using it wrong. You know that drawer under your oven? Yeah, the one full of crusty cookie sheets, mismatched pans, and maybe one item from 2006 you swear you'll use again? Turns out, you've been using it wrong your entire life. The secret history of the oven drawer. So here's the deal. That little compartment, it wasn't invented for your rusty pizza tray collection. It's actually called a warming drawer. Yep, it's meant to keep cooked food warm while you finish cooking the rest. Like, you made chicken and your potatoes are still acting shy in the oven, you toss the chicken in there to keep it toasty. Back in the day, people actually used it correctly. But over time, as humans got distracted by microwaves, air fryers, and TikTok, the warming drawer became the drunk drawer in the kitchen. So next time you open that useless compartment, remember, you're either holding a secret warming chamber or a very fancy metal box of shame. Hit the like button if you've ever been lied to by your oven. Subscribe for more everyday mysteries solved. And maybe go clean that drawer. Seriously, it's a crime scene in there. Before the red balls, they threw rocks. You thought dodgeball was just a goofy gym class game? Nah, this started with warriors heating rocks at each other's heads for training. So legend has it that over 200 years ago in Africa, tribes used a proto-dodgeball game not for fun, but for battle training. Except instead of squishy red balls, they were throwing rocks and coconuts. Yes, getting hit wasn't just embarrassing, it was medically concerning. In this game, teammates would even try to protect their fallen warriors so they could revive and keep fighting. Kind of like Fortnite, but in real life, and with actual concussions. Fast forward to 19th century England, where a guy named
James Carlisle
saw this chaos and thought, let's make this a little less fatal and a lot more British. He introduced rubber balls, structured rules, and brought it into schools. So instead of tribal warfare, it became PE class warfare, where kids learned to peg their enemies, legally. By the 20th century, dodgeball was a gym class staple across the US. Equal parts sports and psychological warfare. 1 second you're dodging like Neo in the Matrix, and the next, you're out because little Ashley has arms like a cannon. So yeah, dodgeball, invented for warriors, perfected by 6th graders. And always remember, if you can dodge a ball, you can dodge a rock. Not that I'm condoning throwing rocks. I'm not. Don't do that. Hit the like button and comment below your craziest dodgeball experience. The first camera took 8 hours and a lot of suffering just to make one black and white photo. Before Instagram selfies and that one cousin that vlogs everything, there was one guy, one roof, and 8 hours of sunlight. This is the ridiculous, kind of brilliant origin of the camera. Our story technically begins with an ancient science trick called the camera obscura, Latin for dark room, or possibly cool cave of science. People like Ibn al-Haytham, a 10th century genius, noticed that if you poke a hole in the wall, light projects an upside down image inside. Their reaction, neat. Did they try to capture it? No, they just stared at it for centuries. Fast forward to 1826. Enter Joseph Nicephore Niepce, French inventor, part-time chemist, full-time guy who really wanted to freeze time. He took a pewter plate, smeared it with a light-sensitive substance named butema of Judea, which sounds like a perfume, stuck it inside the camera obscura, pointed it out his window, and waited 8 hours for the picture to develop. Result, the first photo ever taken. A blurry image of his courtyard, featuring terrible lighting and 0 likes. Jump to 1839. Paris. In comes Louis Daguerre, the dramatic Frenchman who said, what if we make it faster and shinier? Boom, the daguerreotype was born. Silver plates, mercury fumes, and exposure times dropped to only 15 minutes. That's basically lightning fast in the 1800s. Also, people had to stay perfectly still the entire time. That's why no one in the old photos is smiling. They weren't sad, they just clenched their jaw in agony. Imagine smiling for 15 minutes straight. Skip ahead a few centuries. Kodak made cameras for the masses, Polaroid made them instant, and smartphones turned everyone into a photographer, influencer, or a selfie goblin. So next time you snap a pic of your lunch, remember, it took a French guy, some toxic chemicals, and 8 hours of sunlight to bring you that kind of power. The camera, invented for capturing history, now mostly used to capture your brunch. Like, subscribe, and join us next time. The chilling history of refrigerators and how they try to kill us. At first. Before refrigerators, keeping food fresh meant salting it like a driveway or burying it in ice and hoping raccoons didn't get there first. So how do we go from meat sellers to Wi-Fi smart fridges that judge our snack habits? Let's break the ice. The icebox era, aka the old food coffin. In 1800s, rich people basically used ice boxes, wooden boxes with big chunks of ice inside. That's it. That was the whole fridge. You had to hire a guy that would bring you ice every week like it was Game of Thrones. And it melted constantly, so your cold storage smelled like milk and regret. The first fridge almost killed people. In the early 1900s, people started using chemical refrigerants like ammonia, sulfur dioxide, and methylene chloride. And fun fact, those are also great ways to dye in your kitchen. They leaked, they exploded. One woman reportedly passed out mid-sandwich and never finished it. Enter safe cooling. In 1928, scientists invented Freon, a less deadly gas that didn't knock you out or set your house on fire. Everyone was like, cool, let's put this in everything. So we did. Cars, fridges, air conditioners, all of it. Then in the 80s, scientists were like, hey, what's this giant hole in the sky? Oops, Freon was eating the ozone. Modern fridge era. Now we've got fridges that talk, make ice cubes in fun shapes, and even text you when you're out of oat milk. We've come a long way from here's a box of gas and frostbite. So yeah, your fridge, it keeps food fresh, made your ancestors jealous, and almost exploded grandma in 1923. Respect the fridge. Like, subscribe, and stay cold out there. Here's a crazy story you've never heard before. How religious bands accidentally created Swiss watches. When you think of Switzerland, you probably imagine three things: cheese, neutrality, and those ridiculously precise watches. But what if I told you the rise of Swiss watches began with a fashion band, a religious one? In the 16th century, John Calvin, leader of the Protestant Reformation in Geneva, wasn't a fan of flashy jewelry. To put it lightly, to him, vanity was a sin, and so were the indulgent displays of wealth that Catholic nobility wore, like badges. So in 1541, Calvin's new Geneva laws banned jewelry entirely. No rings, no necklaces, no gold embellishments. This devastated Geneva's thriving jewelry population. But here's where it gets interesting. Calvin didn't ban watches. Watches, in his eye, were functional, practical, godly even, because they reminded people to stay on schedule, reflect, pray, and live a disciplined life. So the jewelers pivoted. They said, fine, you don't want gold rings? We'll make beautiful, precious timepieces instead. And they did, combining their dedicated metalworking skills with horology, the science of measuring time. By the 1600s, Geneva had become a horological hotspot, respected across Europe for its craftsmanship. Guilds were formed, apprentices trained for decades. Timekeeping wasn't just a trade, it was a calling. By the 1700s, names like Breguet and Jacquet d'Ors were creating watches for royalty and inventing mechanical marvels like the automata, literally robots powered by gears. Meanwhile, French Huguenots, Protestant refugees escaping Catholic persecution, fled to Switzerland and brought more watchmaking experience with them. Switzerland, a small mountainous country with a few natural resources, suddenly had something priceless: a reputation for precision, reliability, and quality craftsmanship. And the rest is sticking history. From Calvin's ban on bling, a global empire of luxury and engineering emerged. So next time you see a Swiss watch glimmering in a store window, it all started because jewelry made a reformer mad. That's the real story behind Swiss watchmaking. Subscribe for more stories where history is weirder than fiction. Imagine trying to fight pain with opium soup. That was medicine in the early 1800s. And then came a man who said, what if I extracted just the good stuff? Introducing morphine, the painkiller that dreams and some very weird 19th century science are made of. Cut to 1803, Germany. Enter Frederick Serturner, a 20-year-old German pharmacist apprentice. While most 20-year-olds today are discovering espresso martinis, Frederick was isolating a mysterious white powder from opium. He called it morphium, after Morpheus, the Greek god of dreams. Yep, the same guy from Matrix. Well, sort of. Why Morpheus? Because it put people to sleep hard. It practically teleported them to another realm. Sir Turner tested it on himself and some kids in town. You know, for science. By the mid-18th century, morphine was everywhere, hyped as miracle cure for pain, coughs, diarrhea, heartbreak, and probably bad vibes. The American Civil War used it like candy. And what did it lead to? A bunch of soldiers addicted to it. Doctors called it the soldier's disease. Morphine's still around, used carefully in hospitals, but now surrounded by serious regulation. And yet, its dreamy name still whispers of its original myth, the idea that pain can be turned off, like flipping off a switch in the brain. So next time you're handed morphine after surgery, just remember, you're using something invented by a teenager with a candle, a jar of opium, and a wild dream about Greek gods and sleepy euphoria. Hit the like button if you've ever been betrayed by cough syrup, and subscribe for more weird, wild medical history stories. Before we had big pens, gel pens, or those annoying ones that mysteriously vanish when you need to sign something important, people were literally writing with bird feathers. That's right, quill pens. Because nothing says advanced civilization like plucking a goose and stabbing it into ink. Our pen journey starts in ancient Egypt, where scribes used reed pens, basically hollow sticks dipped in ink. Functional, yes. Comfortable? About as ergonomic as writing with a drinking straw. Fast forward through the ages. Romans, Chinese, and Islamic scholars all had their versions. Bamboo, brush pens, ink made from soot and crushed bugs. But then we hit the Middle Ages. Enter the fountain pen, 10th century. And here's something else quite interesting about the fountain pen. Some of these magical pens are unbelievably expensive. Finding some on eBay that are starting out at $190,000. First records say an Egyptian caliph wanted a pen that wouldn't leak on his hands. Relatable. So someone made a pen with an ink reservoir inside. Revolutionary, but it kind of sucked. Ink leaked, or it didn't come out at all. Kind of like using ketchup from a bottle. Either nothing or way too much. Fast forward to the 1880s. An insurance salesman named Lewis Waterman literally lost a client because his pen blotted all over the contract. So he invented a better one. The first commercially successful fountain pen. 1940s. Enter the ballpoint pen. Invented by Laszlo Biro, a Hungarian journalist who was tired of fountain pens smudging faster than his deadlines, he made a pen with, get this, a rolling ball that distributes ink evenly. It was so good the British Air Force used it during World War II because, unlike fountain pens, it worked at high altitudes, meaning fountain pens were up there spilling ink all over the pilot. Modern day. Today we've got cheap plastic pens, fancy Mont Blancs, space pens that write upstairs and downstairs, and even digital styluses. But the humble pen, whether a dollar Bic or a luxury fountain pen, has written history, love letters, war declarations, bad poetry, and passive-aggressive office notes. So next time you sign a receipt or doodle during a Zoom meeting, think a feather and a frustrated monk. or one very annoyed insurance salesman. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell so you never miss a story about the secret life of boring things.